Today I will talk about coastal regions and how they are affected by natural hazards such as storms, storm surges and tsunamis. Furthermore, we will discuss the needs that arise from this for disaster risk reduction and also in the context of global climate change. Coastlines are regions that are much utilized for human settlements, trade, extraction of raw materials, harvest of marine resources, energy production, tourism, and the military, to name just a few uses. This results in diverse demands and increasing intensification of use. Currently, about 40% of humanity lives in a 100-kilometer wide strip along the coastline, and this tendency is increasing. In addition to this, 80% of cities with more than 10 million inhabitants are located along the coast. The coastlines of the world host large ports whose terminals ensure international trade, and aquaculture systems provide fish and seafood. At the same time, raw materials such as oil, gas, sand and gravel are mined in shelf areas, and offshore wind farms are built. The tourism industry has long recognized and valorized the great potentials of sand and beach. And of course, coasts are also of outstanding importance from a geopolitical and military perspective. Urbanization, land use intensification and exploitation of natural resources have led to the loss and degradation of natural ecosystems in many coastal areas. At the same time, these processes have increased the exposure of settlements and infrastructure to natural hazards. For example, the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004 and Cyclone Nargis in Myanmar in 2008 claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and caused high material damage. The devastation in the American metropolis of New Orleans caused by Hurricane Katrina has still not been fully cleaned up. In addition, on the Japanese island of Honshu, whole stretches of land are uninhabitable due to the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami and the associated leakage of radioactivity at the Fukushima nuclear reactor. However, these mega events are only the tip of the iceberg, because every year many coastal residents die from smaller scale disasters that are not reported on the international media. Let's now take a look at the Netherlands, a modern country in Europe. About half of their territory lies below 1 meter above sea level, and a quarter of their territory lies below sea level. Due to this situation, the Netherlands has experienced severe storm surges and flooding several times in its history. The North Sea flood of 1953, which also affected parts of Belgium, Britain and Germany, was the worst storm surge in the Netherlands in the 20th century. On the Dutch North Sea coast, 89 dikes broke over a distance of 187 kilometers, and large areas of land in the Dutch Delta region were flooded. The disaster claimed 1,835 lives in the Netherlands alone. Countless animals died in the floods. Farmland was salinized for years, and the economy in the affected area was paralyzed. As a result of this disaster, the Dutch government assembled the Delta Commission, which developed plans to strengthen the dikes and launched the so-called Delta Plan. This gigantic coastal protection project is a masterpiece of Dutch engineering and, in addition to raising the dikes and building new ones, includes huge storm surge barriers, sluices, locks and dams, the so-called Delta Works. The largest of these storm surge barriers is the Eastern Scheldt Storm Surge Barrier, which has movable gates that could be closed in the event of a storm surge, but remain open otherwise. This means that coastal zones in the area of the Eastern Scheldt are not cut off from the tides, which would result in serious ecological consequences and massive adverse effects on mussel and oyster farming. Since 1986, the gates have been closed 27 times. The technical complexity of such a structure is of course considerable. For the Eastern Scheldt Storm Surge Barrier alone, 65 concrete pillars weighing up to 18,000 tons each were built and installed. In addition, there are 62 movable panel gates, each measuring 42 meters in width and 5.9 to 11.9 meters high. The Delta Works are a model for modern technological development in the field of coastal protection worldwide. However, it's important to remember that both the technical requirements and the costs are tremendous. The construction costs of the Delta Works, for example, amounted to almost 5 billion euros. In addition, there are considerable maintenance costs. The Eastern Shelf storm surge barrier alone is estimated to cost 17 million euros per year to maintain. This illustrates that such mega projects require considerable financial resources, but have great potential, especially in highly urbanized coastal areas of wealthy countries, where many people and valuable infrastructure are threatened by natural hazards. In poorer countries, such projects are hardly feasible without external financial support. Global climate change poses huge challenges to coastal areas worldwide. The effects of rising sea levels vary from region to region, but they pose a particular threat to shallow delta areas, which, as in the Netherlands, are often densely populated. At the same time, natural hazards such as storms and storm surges are increasing in some parts of the world. All this is happening against the backdrop of a global population that continues to grow and increasing urbanization, land use intensification and exploitation of natural resources, which weakens the resilience of naturally occurring coastal defenses. It is already clear that these challenges cannot be met with technology alone. This has also been recognized by the Netherlands, which, in addition to its engineering expertise, is increasingly relying on nature-based solutions or hybrid solutions in coastal protection. These include, for example, the management of coastal dunes as natural buffers against wind and waves, and other measures. In the next video, we'll take a closer look at how climate change is affecting coastal zones, which natural hazards may be increasing in the future, and where people and infrastructure are particularly exposed and vulnerable. Thanks for watching this video, and see you next time on this channel.